Hello guys, welcome back. So in our previous video, I showed you how you can insert data into your category, how you can actually insert data into your category and be able to view them in your database. So in this video, we'll be working on our edit button. So now if we want to edit, we'll be editing with a specific ID. So now if you go to your database, if you want to edit this, row here, we'll be editing with this specific ID here, this ID2. So now let's get to it. So now your VS Code, and also remember we did our add category. When you click on add category, this add category modal will pop up. We are going to be doing the same for our edit button. When we click on edit, our edit modal too will pop up. So now let's go to our VS Code. Now inside our VS Code, in our all category, you can see your edit button. Now let's create our route here. So I hope you remember how to create your braces route name. What route name should we give it? We can give it category dot it. And also we'll be passing the requested ID. So remember we've gotten this category variable as item. So now we'll be using item to get the requested ID. That will be item. So after doing this, our single quotes will not be covering our item ID, just be covering this. So it's perfect like this. So now let's load our modal. We'll be loading our modal the same way we loaded our add category modal. We'll be loading our edit category modal also. So the first thing we want to do is we want to copy this button. So when we copy the button, we'll come down here, paste it. So now I want to replace this button. We want to transfer the details here to this. So first of all, we'll change this category to it, and we'll change the class also. This is the class here. This is the class. And also our modal, and also our modal ID here. We're going to change the ID, we'll name it something else. Because if we leave the model ID as this, click on it, it will give us the add category modal. So now we are going to change the ID. We can name the ID category. So now after doing this, inside the button, are going to be having our ID. Our ID will be equals to, we want to pass our this particular data that we want to edit. We want to pass the ID. So that will be item. So we are calling this requested data ID. So inside your database, if we are trying to edit this particular data here, we are calling this ID here. So that we just did here. So after doing that, we'll call one of the onClick function. That'll be onClick function. Inside the onClick function, we are going to give it a name, one of the event name. We'll give it category edit. Then we want to call this ID here, this requested ID here. So now how do we get access to this requested ID here? We'll get access to it using this function. So go into the bracket, this will be this ID here. This is our requested ID here. Our requested ID here, which we've gotten into this variable here. That will be this dot. So we are actually accessing this particular ID here. We are accessing this particular ID with this item. So that's what we are getting here. So we are actually calling this particular requested ID here inside this our onClick function here using this variable here. Well, I hope that is clear. So now what we want to do now is that we don't actually need this again. We'll delete it. So you remember our ID, we change it to category. Keep that in mind. So now what we want to do is we want to copy this our modal. Copy this modal, minimize it. Copy it from here. And the end div. Copy it down, paste it. So now I can call this edit category edit modal. So now remember our ID, we gave it an ID of category. Now let's change that in this modal here. Our category edit modal, the ID we gave it an ID of category. So this is where we are going to change it. Category. So now let's save all and save all. You go to your browser, you reload this page. Once you reload it, click on edit. You can see our edit modal is loading. So now let's change all this. Let's change all this name. I go back to your VS Code. You change this to edit category. So I can leave it as category name, category image. So now what's the next thing we want to do? So when we are editing our category, we want to edit it based on a particular ID. So now in the category name, the category image, we want to visible this particular ID we want to edit. Let's take this for example. Let's say we want to edit this data. We want to visible the ID of this data. So I will edit this data with it. We want to visible this particular data ID. So how do we do that? How do we visible this particular data ID? So we want to visible this particular data ID with its data. So what we'll do is in the category name, we'll give it an ID. Give it an ID, we can name it cat. And in the category category image, we can leave the ID as image. We'll make use of it because we'll be writing a small Ajax code. We can still make use of this ID as image. So now we'll be able to visible this category name using this ID, and also we'll be able to visible this category image using this ID. So let's just keep that in mind. I will show you how we are going to visible it using Ajax. So the next thing we want to do now is we want to pass the requested ID under form, that is under this CSRF token. We'll pass the requested ID here like this. That will be input. Input will, the type will be of text. And the name will give it a name of cat ID. The ID, give it an ID of cat ID. So why I'm doing all this, it will be clear very soon. So now I already created this function here. We look at the edit button here. I already created this function here, this onClick function, which is our category edit, then our this.id, which is this ID that we got it from this requested ID here, this particular data we want to edit. So now we'll now load our JavaScript code. We just unload it after this JavaScript code. Copy this of the script. And the script. So now what I want to do is type in function category edit. So inside the function, which ID do you want to pass? I want to pass this particular ID here. This ID, which we got from here, which is the requested ID of the data we want to edit. So we'll be passing the requested ID here. Inside this function, we'll be passing the requested ID, this ID. Now that is that, and after this, we'll be calling our Ajax here, our curly braces, that is $.Jax. So our type will be the type of get, because we are trying to get the data from our database. So we'll be using a method, we'll be using the get method. So our type will be a type of get method. And also our URL. So what URL should we use? Can use category/edit. Also, we'll be passing the ID with the URL here, so that when we are editing specifically based on the ID of the data we want to edit. We'll be passing the ID here. That's ID. Then of course our data type will be of JSON. Data type be of JSON. And JSON. So now we have to visible it. Once we're able to get the category edit ID, so we have to visible it once it has been successful. So that will be test and the function. So now after getting all the data here, I'm going to visible it with this success and this function. Into the function, we're going to get all the data this parameter. Now, but first of all, we need to create this URL inside our web.php. So now when we get all the data here, be a success and create everything using this data. So now into this data area, I want to access both the values. So what we want to do now is that I want to check everything using our console log. We can just type so log. Then we'll load the data. The data it has already gotten already. Start getting all the data here. Start getting all the data here. We'll take it using this parameter. Then to check it using console log, it will load the data here using console. So put your semicolon. So now everything we get in the console log will make it, everything we get inside this our console log now, it will make everything clear to you. But first we need to create this URL now inside our web.php. Like go to your web.php. We are going to be creating our URL here. Copy it. Paste it. We won't be needing our name routes. It's just the URL and our method name. What is our URL? Our URL is category/edit. Paste it like this. So as you can see here, we passed it using the ID, so we'll also be including the ID here. So slash curly braces. We can name our method edit category edit. So now we'll be working with our edit category inside our category controller. Inside our category controller, we create a function, public function, and our edit category method. So now as you can see here, we pass the URL with our ID. We pass the URL with our ID, so we'll also be calling here, which is our requested ID. That will be $. Now we'll come down, I will take variable categories. Inside the category, we are going to call our method name. Our method name, which is category. We'll be using the find method. So we'll be using the find method, then our requested ID. I'll be find the find method. Put our requested ID there. $. No color. So now we are going to return response. Response is JSON. And into the JSON, we'll pass this category here, which we've used to get the particular requested ID. We'll pass the variable here. No color. So now if everything is okay, you look at our JavaScript code here. If everything is okay, this is our success data here. This is our success data here. I've passed this data in our console log already. Now let's check it out. If everything is okay, we should be able to visible our data in our console. Now you save or now let's check out what we've done so far. Inside our Go controller, we have an error here. We are not supposed to put semicolon here. Inside our web.php, remember here, our method is a get method. We put a post method, so we have to change it to a get method. So now after doing all that, you want to save all and run your PHP artisan optimize. Let's go. So once you've done that, you will go to your console log and check it out. So you reload this page now. I go to your inspect. Inside your inspect, you go to your console and your user message here. Now what you want to do is you want to click edit. Just click on any edit here. Just click on. You can see this edit we click on food and drinks. The ID is 4. We got our image. We got our category name, food and drinks, and we got our category slugs. Let's go to our database and confirm food and drinks. This is food and drinks. And see the ID is 4. So you can successfully access ID now. So it's the success data. Access it. I hope we are following and we understand what I just did here. So we use the success data now to get all our data for this particular ID. So now if I cancel this and I click on another ID, so I click on else and see ID is 7, we got the category name, category slug, the ID and the image. See, it's as simple as that. So now what we want to do is we want to visible it. We want to visible the category name, the image and the ID here. Let's do that. Now if you go to your VS Code, so this console log won't be working, we don't need it again, so we'll comment it out. After we do that, we're going to take the ID names we want to visible. As we want to visible our ID number, we want to visible our name. Go to your browser, we want to visible the ID, we want to visible the category name, we want to visible the image. You will check it here. Want to visible the ID, want to visible category name, and want to visible the image here. So now in our VS Code, so we are going to take those ID, that will be $sign. Into the $sign, which one do we want to visible first? Want to visible the ID. So we check here, we've given the ID. This is our category edit model. We check here, this is the ID here. We gave it an ID of cat under. So now in JavaScript, if you want to visible ID, you will visible it using hash. That ID here. And the value, visible the value as dot val into as the data here. Data dot id is the ID want to visible. That'll be dot id. And just copy this and repeat it. So the second one want to visible is the category name. So which ID do we give the category name? We gave it cats. That will be cats. And the value we want to visible is, what's the name of the value we want to visible? That will be our That is our category underscore name. The category underscore name. So the third one is what? Third one is image. So to visible our image, it will actually be a bit different from the way we visible our ID and our. Now to visible our image here, we'll be visibling it using this div. We'll be making it visible using this div. So this ID, we'll change this ID to image preview. And after doing that, we'll come down. And to visible this image, we'll replace this with the image preview ID. We just image preview. And instead of dot value here, to visible it will be dot attributes. And inside the attributes, we'll be working with our source to have a link to our image URL. So inside the dot attributes, type your single quotes, your source, then comma, single quotes, hash. And that will be just your data image. I think that is good enough. So you save all. Let's check it out. So you refresh. Now click on edit. You can see ID, story name, and our image are all visible. So in the next video, we'll show you how to update these details, how to update your category name and image. We'll show you how to also delete name. We'll show you how to also delete your category name. See you in the next video.